Hello, Assalamu alaikum. In this video, we will understand about the Clotho-dependent inhibition of insulin and IGF-1 pathway and how it is anti-aging and increase the lifespan. And calcium and phosphate homeostasis we will understand and how it is anti-aging. So Clotho is a protein, remember, contain 1012 amino acid long peptides transcribed by the chromosome 13 containing 5 exon gene. Clotho knockout mice in the study shows that have shown to have a decreased insulin production with increased insulin sensitivity. Remember, and in this way the inhibition inhibit the insulin like growth factor a receptor and the insulin receptor substrate by Clotho. So how it is possible? Let's understand about the overview of the basically the digestion of the glucose and protein. So whenever you will eat food which that contain carbohydrate mostly enter into the blood circulatory system, before the entering GIP also stimulate the pancreas beta cell to release the insulin, but the Clotho will decrease the insulin degranulation, remember, and in this way the decrease of the insulin is known as the hypoinsulinemia in the blood. So the deficiency of the insulin, but remember the insulin receptor sensitivity will increase via a Clotho. Clotho is a helper protein which that help to insulin receptor for function properly. Even the low amount of the insulin present in your blood, so it will work properly. This is the cell which that can be a muscle, adipose tissue or liver. So in this way the insulin receptor will receive the insulin via a Clotho helping or Clotho dependent insulin receptor will depend the Clotho will lead to bind the insulin, lead to insulin receptor substrate activation to PI3K pathway to activate the AKT. While the increase the insulin sensitivity as well as the insulin like growth factor 1 also increase and via a Clotho helping will lead to inhibit the remain in cytoplasm this FOXO1, 3A and 4 protein. When this remain in cytoplasm, number 1 and the number 2 is the loss of transcriptional activity because it will not enter into the nucleus and inhibit the apoptosis. In this way the cell will survive. While in the reality the FOXO will enter into the DNA and the transcribe for the gluconeogenesis that protein and glycogenolysis protein enzyme and adipogenesis. But remember that things basically it will inhibit. So in this way, on the other hand, the Clotho is also important for the DNA damage inhibition and reactive oxygen species produced from the mitochondria also inhibit. Anyway, let's understand about the calcium and phosphate homeostasis. So the soluble Clotho is able to increase the abundance and expression of calcium channel like TPRV5 on the plasma membrane. TPR5 is important for the calcium influx, and in this way basically remember this is the channel and this is the general cell. Remember we are understanding the general cell. So in this way the TRPV2 this is the channel which that allow to calcium move inside will lead to increase the calcium in the cell. On the other hand, the stabilization and the retention of TRPV2 will occur, and in this way on the other hand this is the galactin 1 binding site bind with the N-glycosylation branch which that is the calcium channel this is, and this will lead to if endocytosis this channel will inhibit through Clotho, while this endocytosis will lead to contain N-glycosylation branch, but the sialidase enzyme will trigger via Clotho will lead to convert into the 2,6-sialatid lac-NAC. This will convert, and in this way the N-glycosylation branch will occur and the galactin 1 binding site which that important, and in this way the Clotho will also bind it. while on the other hand it will Clotho 2 domain containing TRPC1. This is the transient receptor potential canonical calcium channel 1, which that also trigger. On the other hand, when calcium will rise inside, the endothelial integrity will occur, while the inhibit the insulin secretion rather than the excrete. Due to the increase the secretion of insulin, so Clotho will inhibit, while the calcium will trigger, but the Clotho will work for it to retain inside of the cell. In this way, the endothelial integrity will occur. On the other hand, the calcium rise. So the increase of the calcium extracellular will trigger also the ATPase complex via Clotho, will lead to potassium move inside and the sodium outside for the influx of the calcium. So remember, anyway, this is the usage of the calcium. So the calcium used in the cell more due to the Clotho. So the phosphate containing diet basically is contained when enter into the blood circulatory system the phosphate. So in this way, here is the osteocyte, the bone cell, which that release the FGF23. So the FGF23 basically bind with a 1 or 3 receptor. On the other hand, the TNAP, which that convert into the inorganic diphosphate into the single phosphate due to the ARC1 and 2 activation. And in this way, the FGF23 go into the, because it is release the phosphate group into the blood. So in this way, the kidney require the excretion, this phosphate, but the reabsorption is possible without Clotho. So in this way, the hyperphosphatemia will occur. This hyperphosphatemia is the aging related hyperphosphatemia in the blood. This is the nephron of the kidney, contain proximal convoluted tubule and distal convoluted tubule. In this way, here is the FGF23 will bind, which that is released from the osteocyte, bind with the alpha Clotho with the receptor to activate the ARC1 and 2, lead to activate the SGK1, and in this way the SGK1 will activate the NHERF1. Just remember, will inhibit the phosphate influx due to the NAPI to A channel will not open. In this way, inhibit in this way the phosphate will not reabsorb into the proximal convoluted tubule to the blood. So in this way, on the other hand, the vitamin D125 dihydroxyvitamin D3 will inhibit due to the activation of the that gene CYP27B1 gene, and in this way the ARC1 and 2 will inhibit it. So the vitamin D will decrease. So vitamin D basically 125 dihydroxyvitamin D3. On the other hand, here is the distal convoluted tubule, the function differently. In this way, the calcium should be absorbed for the normal function. If the calcium release, so in this way the problem will arise. But the phosphate will absorb if into the blood circulatory system will lead to hyperphosphatemia, the aging related hyperphosphatemia. This alpha Clotho will bind with the FGF receptor 1C, lead to ARC SGK to activate the WNK4, which that inhibit the NCC for the trigger the NCC sodium gated channel, and in this way the TRVP5 will activate, will lead to calcium and sodium absorb. In this way the calcium will absorb and sodium absorb, while the phosphate will be triggered to excrete and the hyperphosphatemic aging will inhibit. I hope you make sense about that. This was the Clotho.